is one of my very favorite stories in the whole entire world. It's a little bit longer than usual, so that's why I also want you comfortable in your seats. And I'm going to share with you this story that comes from Africa and is called The Name of the Tree. And it's told in many different ways, but this version was written by a Canadian woman named Celia Lottridge. And this is how it goes. And it's got beautiful pictures that I hope you can see. I'll show them to everybody. Once, long ago, in the land of the short grass, there was a great hunger. No rain fell, and no grass grew. The ostrich, the gazelle, the giraffe, the monkey, the rabbit, the tortoise, the zebra, and all of the other animals were hungry. They searched in the jungle, they searched by the river, they searched on the great flat plain, but they could find nothing to eat. At last, all of the animals together gathered together and said, "Let's go together across the great flat plain until we find something we can eat." Strength in numbers, right? And so all the animals, except for the lion, who was king and lived in the jungle, walked across the flat, empty land. They walked and walked and walked. And after many days, they saw a small bump on the edge of the land. What do you think that bump was? Guesses? Anybody? Think in your head. Then they saw the small bump was a tree. And the tree was very tall. And the tree had fruit on it, such fruit as they had never seen before. It was as red as pomegranates, as yellow as bananas, as green as melons, as purple as plums, as orange as mangoes, and it smelled like all the fruits of the world. Can you imagine all that smell when you're that hungry? But the tree was so tall and the branches were so high that even the giraffe couldn't reach the fruit. And the trunk was so smooth, even the monkey couldn't climb the tree. The animals sat on the ground and cried because the fruit smelled so good. And they were so hungry. At last, when they were too tired to cry any longer, a very old tortoise spoke. "Oh, animals," she said, "my great-great-great-grandmother told me a story about a wonderful tree. The fruit of that tree was delicious and good to eat, but it could be reached only by those who knew the name of the tree." The animals cried out, "But who can tell us the name of the tree?" The very old tortoise answered, "The king knows. We must send someone to ask him." "I will go," said the gazelle. "I am the fastest runner of us all." And that was true. So the gazelle started out across the great flat plain. He ran like an arrow shot from a bow, and as he ran, he thought, "How lucky the animals are that I am willing to go to the king. No one can run as fast as I can, or talk as fast as he can either." Indeed, it was not long before the gazelle reached the jungle and the place by the river where the king lived. Can you see him there in the tree? Can you see the lion? The lion is important, or the way the lion looks is important. The king was sitting with his tail neatly wrapped around him. Every hair in his golden coat lay smooth and shining, and he spoke kindly to the gazelle. "What do you wish of me?" he said. "Oh, great king," said the gazelle, "all the animals are hungry, and we found a tree filled with wonderful fruit, but we cannot eat the name of the fruit till we know the name of the tree." "I will tell you," said the lion, "but you must remember, for I don't want to tell anyone else. The name of the tree is Ungali." "Ungali," said the gazelle, "I will run as fast as the wind and I will reach the tree before I can possibly forget." Do you think the gazelle makes it before he forgets? Wouldn't be a story, would it? The gazelle thanked the king and ran through the jungle and across the great flat plain. He thought about how happy all the animals would be and how they would thank him and be grateful to him. He thought about this so hard he didn't see the rabbit hole that lay in his path, not far from where the animals were waiting. He stepped in it and went head over hoofs, and landed in a heap at the foot of the tree. "What is the name of the tree?" shouted all the animals. The gazelle shook his head. He shook it again. "I can't remember," he whispered. "Oh," the animals groaned. "We will have to send someone else, someone who will not forget." What kind of animal never forgets? "I will go," said the elephant. "I never forget anything." The animals nodded, for this was true, and so the elephant strode off across the great flat plain. I will not forget, she said to herself. I can remember anything I choose to, even the names of all of my cousins. The elephant had hundreds of cousins, or the names of all of the stars in the sky. When the elephant arrived at the edge of the river, the king was sitting in his usual place, but the end of his tail was twitching, and his fur was ruffled. Anybody have a cat? Does that sound like a happy cat? What do you want? He growled. Oh, king, said the elephant, all the animals are hungry. I know, said the king. And you want to know the name of the tree with the wonderful fruit. I will tell you. But don't you forget, because I absolutely will not tell anyone else. The name of the tree is Ungali. I will not forget, said the elephant haughtily. I never forget anything. And she turned and began to make her way out of the jungle. Forget, she grumbled to herself. Me, forget. Why, I can remember names of all the trees in Africa. And she began to name them. When she had finished all the trees in the jungle, she went on to all the other trees in Africa. She was just starting on the trees of the rest of the world when she happened to step in the very same rabbit hole that had tripped up the gazelle. Her foot fitted exactly into the hole, so exactly she couldn't get it out. The animals waiting under the tree saw the elephant and ran to her, calling, What is the name of the tree? The elephant pulled and tugged and pulled and tugged, and finally, with a great pop, her foot came out of the hole. I can't remember, she said crossly, and I don't care. That tree has caused far too much trouble already. The animals didn't even groan. They were too tired and too hungry. After a long time, a very young tortoise spoke. Oh, animals, he said, I will go and find out the name of the tree. You, said the other animals, but you are so young, and you are so small, and you are so slow. Yes, said the very young tortoise, but I know how to remember. I learned from my great-great-great-grandmother, the one who told you about the tree. Well, the animals had nothing to say, and the little tortoise was already on his way. It is true that he was small and slow, but by putting one foot in front of the other, he crossed the great flat plain, went through the jungle, and arrived at the place by the river where the king lived. Is the king going to be happy to see him? The king was not sitting in his usual place. He was pacing up and down the bank of the river, waving his tail, and his fur was standing on end. When he saw the very young tortoise, he roared, If you have come to ask me the name of the tree, go home. I have told the gazelle and I have told the elephant that the name of the tree is Ungali, and I will not tell you. The very young tortoise nodded his head politely, turned, and began to walk out of the jungle. Did the king make a mistake? Mm-hmm. As he walked, he sang to himself, Ungali, Ungali, the name of the tree is Ungali, 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 the name of the tree is Ungali. And he went on singing it as he crossed the great flat plain. Ungali, Ungali, the name of the tree is Ungali, 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 the name of the tree is Ungali. And he never stopped singing it, even when he got tired, even when he got thirsty, because that is what his great-great-great-grandmother had told him to do. Even when he fell to the bottom of the very same rabbit hole, the very young tortoise just climbed out singing, Ungali, Ungali, the name of the tree is Ungali. None of the animals saw him coming. They were sitting under the tree looking at the ground. The very young tortoise walked straight up to the foot of the tree and said in a loud voice, The name of the tree is Ungali. All of the animals looked up. They saw the branches of the tree bend down so low that they could reach the wonderful fruit that was as red as pomegranates, as yellow as bananas, as green as melons, as purple as plums, as orange as mangoes. It smelled like all the fruits of the world. The animals ate. They ate until they could eat no more. Then they lifted the very young tortoise high in the air and marched around the tree chanting, Ungali, Ungali, the name of the tree is Ungali, because they did not want to forget. And they never did. And that's the story of the name of the tree. So we're going to sing our own song for you as you head off to your classes, okay? Go now in peace. Go